5 years to make a good handful, around 5, 6 disciples. That's probably best you can do. So the scope or range of beneficiaries, who's going to get the benefits, that's a question of insight. And then you need to be responsible to be effective. So you educate and train. That's one of your responsibility as a leader, to be effective leader. The reason why we're focusing on the train and educate is because you cannot do everything by yourself. That's not possible. That's never possible. But many dictators and many those leaders, political leaders, they are thinking, I can do this, and I'm the best one, and no one can do what I'm doing. No, that's not true. If you train someone well enough, then they can probably do better than you do. So we do not want to acknowledge that someone can do better than me. That's always a trouble with the leaders. So if you're thinking that you can do better than others, you have to think it twice. Because if you train and educate someone properly, for extensively and intensively, then there's going to be someone who's going to do better than you. So that's one way of being responsible. Then coordinate. Your job is to oversee and coordinate. Coordinate means to relate the people and the resources so you can come up with a more effective ways of doing things. So without coordination, everyone's going to do their own things. And if you do not coordinate those, then what happens is some people's going to do the same thing. 2 or 3 people are doing just one thing while they can do several different things. So coordination is important, allocating their resources and personnel so they can do whatever the best, and you're going to see the whole picture and look at where is missing part, what is not working well. So these are the things that you are going to look. That's a coordination. So that's one way, another way of being responsible. Then you monitor and evaluate. A leader should always monitor and evaluate. That's an ongoing job for a leader. Once you plan and execute, and then you think it's done. No. Once you plan and execute, and then you keep monitoring what is going to happen. Because 9 of 10 times, the things are not going to go as you planned. See, that's a reality that we are living in. And you do all the calculation, all the preparation, and all the strategies and tactics, and do the timetable and the schedule and process planning and all these things. Then you execute. As soon as you begin, you're going to find some faults. You're going to find some unknowns. And you're going to face some unexpected. That is the real word. So a leader always expect to face those things, meaning that things are not going to go as you plan. So expecting that, it is always necessary to monitor what is going to happen and what's going on. So it is your job to monitor and evaluate continually. That's being responsible. Again, supervise and oversee, same concept. Communicate. You communicate with your fellow workers, your supervisors, and the ones that you are working for you. So this communication up, down, and horizontal. That this communication has to be it has to continue. That's being responsible. D, futuristic. To optimize. That's the topic that we are talking about today. So to optimize, that's the leader's job. To optimize, you have to be futuristic. Okay. To future, it means be prophetic. Pray for the insights. See, whether you believe in in God or someone else or something else, prayer is always there. And for Christians, us believers, it is always key to sit down and stop and pray. And then it seems like a prayer doesn't do anything. But if you are experienced Christian, and if you are a mature Christian with many years of faith, you know that prayer that didn't seem to work at the time has always been working. So prayer is the key to a Christian who wants to be prophetic. And the prophets, not only it's in Christianity, it's in Judaism, and it's also Islam faith. The prophet is a very, very key component of their belief. And to be prophetic, you are going to see to the future. Not to the very specifics, but you're going to kind of know how the wind blows from west to east or north to south. Feeling that the trend, the flow of the wind, that is kind of prophetic mind. So you're going to read what is going on the big picture, not every detail. You may not know that, but by trying to be prophetic and by praying, you're going to know the whole, the flow, the main flow of the direction that we are going. And read larger picture. Yeah, read a larger picture. I'll explain that more later. Read the future trend. People are very sensitive about these days fashion, how to dress, especially the ladies. And there's certain fashion trend, whether it's color or style, there is trends. Same thing with the leadership. Whether you're a religious leader, political leader, or business leader, you have to read the future trend. And without doing that, you're not going to be able to maximize or optimize. Then aging and decline. Aging means getting old. The things and the people always get old. You're going to get older next year, right? There's no way to avoid the aging. Same thing with the things. So things, whether it's a building, the material, these things get old. And many times it get old as to the state that you have to throw that away. So read how long this thing is going to last. That's one way of being prophetic. So you kind of estimate the life of certain things, or a people, or a certain program even, or a certain trend. These things kind of get old and then disappear, no longer valid. And so that, another word is a decline. So things go up and then it comes down. It's always been the history. Anything that is new, it's not going to be new anymore next day. So, always there is something new, and you're trying to see what's coming out new and what's going to decline. So that's how you read the time and be prophetic. So, if you are being prophetic and you know what's coming in the future, and you can be ready. Being ready is a very key to the being effective. So if you wanna be an effective leader to optimize your future, your organization, and your cost or whatever you wanna optimize it as a leader, then you need to be ready for the things to come. So again, pray for the empowerment. The readiness for Christian believers, it doesn't come from within. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it comes from above. So you cannot be ready unless God allows you to be ready. And once you are ready, you have to be prepared to act. Many times you don't act right now, but there comes the time and situation that you need to act. And if you're not prepared to act, then you're not going to be able to. So, for example, a policeman, they always have a gun loaded when they go out for the patrol. Say, if you do not have those bullets in your gun, I mean, you're not ready to act. So having the gun unlocked and having the gun with the bullets, that's a readiness to act. So when there is a situation, these days we have many of those situations, just people shooting for no reason. And then you need to act quickly. So these are like things, the example. Be proactive. Many times we react rather than proact. React is better than doing nothing, but it's better to proactive. Proactive is always thinking and being ready. With the readiness in your mind, and you can proact, meaning taking control of the situation rather than respond to the stimuli or the action from the other party. So proactive is you're there to be changing and then dealing with the situation, the condition and the problem and issues. That's being proactive. And be ambitious. In good way, not bad way. So actually the word that whoever they used said be ambitious. The boys be ambitious, but it's boys be ambitious in the Lord. That's the full version. So that's in good way. And as a Christian leader, you need to be ambitious in the Lord, meaning you are following His stream, God's stream, rather than yours. So people are confused. Many believers, even many Christians, are confused that they think they are following the God's vision and God's stream, but in reality, they are following many times following their own vision, own dream. So you, as a leader, you need to discern this. Not only for yourself, you should be able to discern whether this person is following God's dream or his own ambitions. So we are following God's ambitions. That's Christian leaders. Okay, lesson 9.2. This is probably the most important thing a leader do. Whether you are a leader in a church, whether you're a leader in a business, a company, or some other organization, you need need to learn to organize. Many people do not or does not know how to organize. Because sometimes you're born with the mind to organize, but this is rare. So people need to train and learn to organize. And this is something it is possible to learn as you train yourself. So learning to organize is very key. In the Bible, Proverb 31, this is a famous proverb. If you have a chance, please read Proverb 31, whole thing. But I chose just a few verses out of Proverb. And it talks about a lady, a woman, housewife. And she brings him good, and the husband, good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. So these are some of the things that that lady does, and it's some people think these verses are very male chauvinistic, male dominant thing, because it looks like a girl that the wife does all the work and the husband do nothing. But that's not the case. It's talking about the wisdom. She is wisdom, and the wisdom is associated to Christ Jesus. The wisdom in Greek is Sophia. So if you have a name Sophia, it means a wisdom, right? So this is a kind of wisdom that we are looking for. And to organize, it takes a wisdom. And all the works that she does, it has to do with organizing. And so if you want to learn about organizing, please read Proverb 31. Now, a core concept and terms needed organize. Organ. The word organize comes from the word organ, and it's a part of organism that is typically self-contained and has a specific vital function, such as a heart or liver or human. So organ is inside your body, right? Heart and the lung and stomach, and these are called organs. That thing, the organization, the term is that it has a specific function, and it relates to other organs. So organize means that you are focusing on certain functions, and then you are also trying to relate those functions. So the word organ is the foundation of the word organization or organize. Now the next word organize it is defined in dictionary this way: arrange into a structured whole or order. And the second definition says make arrangements or preparation for an event or activity. Another word, coordinate. So organize equal to arrangement or coordination, or it takes a preparation. And then also to organize, it takes a structured whole. So there is a thing, whole, and it is structured in certain way, meaning has ups and downs, bottom and top, side and the connections and the walls and the pillars. These are the terms associated with the structure. So to organize, you are thinking of how am I going to structure these things? And then you're thinking how am I going to arrange these things? And also, how am I going to coordinate? These are all related to the concept of organize. So you don't have to born with. You can train yourself to be a good making arrangement. You can be a good coordinator, and you can be a good person to read and make a structure. So that's the term organize. So the organization is one thing, probably the one important thing a leader do for organization. If you're only working for yourself, your organization is going to be limited. You're not needed to organize much. But if you're working with someone else and many more, then the term organize is a key thing. And as soon as you walk into a company or business or into a church, what I can see is whether this church is organized or not. And if church is not organized, that means church is not going to function at its best. Same thing with a business. If you just walk into a business and think of this, the keyword organized, is this business organized? And especially in a restaurant, you can just feel right away. And organized restaurants most likely have a better taste than the other restaurant. So that is a key word for any business, any group of people, whether it's a church or a business or even school. So organization, the definition. 1, an organized body of people with a particular purpose, especially a business, society, association, and etc. Number 2, the action of organizing something. So organization is an action. So these two definitions are the things that you need to learn and practice. And the body of people. So a good leader can organize the body of people so they can pursue, go after, and act toward a given purpose of that body of people. So in a school, a good leader is someone who is going to provide a good education. That's a school. A church, a good leader is organized a church so people can benefit spiritually and grow and mature in Christ likeness. A business, a good leader organize that business so they can make a profit, produce profits. So you can pay the workers and you can get rich by running business. So these all has to do with a good organization. So if you don't know to organize, that means you do not know how to run your business. So it's the same term, same thing actually. So if you know how to run a business or a church or even family, you are a good organizer. Organism. S also associate with organization. An individual animal, plant, or single-celled life form. That's basically the definition for an organism. The material structure of an individual life form. And third one with a reddish letter. A whole with interdependent parts, likened to a living being. See, in that sense, third sense, a church is an organism. Some people run a business just like an organization. Some leaders run a business like an organism. Which do you think is better? A good organization can get a good profit many times, but if it lacks the aspect of organism, then it's going to be dull. It's going to be no fun to be working with other people. So a business that tries to attempt the form of organism has better relationships, better understanding for each other. It's more like a family. So family is not an organization. Your family is organism. So that's two different things. But many leaders try to make and run a organization than organism. So we, as a biblical leader, as a good leader, you're trying to make your group of people an organism rather than organization. That's two different things. So how do you run your group of people, your business, your church, your family as an organism? That's a good question to ask yourself. See people do not see. You need to do this. You should be able to see some other people do not see. That makes the whole difference. If you are able to see the things that most people do not see, then you are definitely a leader, a good leader. There are two different perspectives that I'm going to tell you today, and one is macro and the other is micro. Some people say you need a macro perspective, wider, bigger perspective. Some people say no. Rather than macro perspective, you need to focus on the micro perspective. I say we need both and balance. Sometimes you need to see more macro than micro, and other situations you need to focus on the more micro, tiny details than the macro. So the key thing is you should be able to make that decisions. So what is a macro perspective? It's a systematic, systemized forest rather than trees. Bird's eye view. Bird's eye view. You have if you have a Google function in your smartphone, there's something called the bird's eye view, which means you're looking at the whole thing like a bird's in the sky. So that's bird's eye view. And a leader should be able to have those visions. And if you're trying to be an engineer or even interior designer or construction worker, most of the leaders need to have ability for system design. System design means you are planning and making whole system working apart. My experience in America is that America tends to be more partial. I mean, more expertise on the certain given area than picturing the whole system. That cause problems. Meaning, if you go to some of the public workers, like for example DMV, not these days, but like 20, 30 years ago, if you go to DMV, that person who does certain things, he or she only knows that. And then if you ask some other things, and you have to go to another person who knows about it. I mean, that's how the system worked in DMV 20, 30 years. Not anymore. But so these things, I mean, if your workers or your church members only do the certain things and they only know that, and then they do not have that bird's eye view. They don't have the system mind of system design. So you should be able to not only be in the system, but you should be able to design, not only design, and you can improve that system. If you can improve and reform the system, then you are up there. So that's what the top leader is. The difference between the top leader and the bottom member, the worker, is one of those differences is whether you are being able to read the system or not. If we are able to read the system, understand what's going on the whole thing, whole system, then you can become a better leader and you're going to be upgraded, promoted. And the function, structure, and program. This is a very important concept. That's a simple concept, but it is important concept. Okay, let me show this. Okay, system. System is a set of things working together as a parts of a mechanism or an interconnected network. That's what the system is. Again, a system is a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized scheme or method. See, there's again, organized. So, a system has to do with how the things work together, the whole thing, whole picture. So this is a system. There's a function, and there's a structure for it. Let me explain this. Okay, for example, you drive a car, right? So probably a car is the best thing that we commonly understand. Car needs to go forward. That's one function. Then to go forward, there's a structure which is the engine and transmission and the brake and accelerator. So you put off the brake and then you put on the accelerator and it gives push. Then engine runs faster and then transmission engages and then transmission is connected to your wheels, 4 wheels, actually 2 wheels usually in the front. And then it begins to drive, move. So that's how the function is related to the structure. And the programs, in the transmission, there is something called gear shift, right? Usually it's automatic these days. Anyone drives a manual shift? No. So you're not familiar with a manual shift, right? But anyway, then in transmission, there's a program, and it goes from first to second, second to third, third to fourth. So that's kind of program. Again, for example, your church. We have in a church we have a function called worshiping God. You want to worship God. The same thing in a mosque and synagogue. And even in Buddhist temple, you go and worship. That's a worship is function. Then is that structured as something called Sunday worship? That's structure and a program. So structure and program comes together in that case. So each function, whatever, I mean, if you're on a prayer, we have something called a prayer meeting. That's the program. And the program says we are going to meet on every Wednesday evening 7:30, and the senior pastor is going to lead that prayer meeting. So that becomes a program. So structure requires, function requires a structure, and structure is expressed in the program. This happens in every organization. The family, same thing. So this is how you should analyze a system. If you have a certain program, for example, you're coming to the class every Tuesday, 10 to 12, and Professor Hwang is going to teach you the lessons on biblical leadership. That's a program. And then structure, you have a space, and then you have a test and a quiz, and the assignments and the attendance check. These are the structures. Why do we do that? So you can learn and improve. That's a function. So you can gain some knowledge. That's a function. So everything an organization do, it has to do with the system. Function is an activity or purpose natural to or intended for a person or thing. That's an activity. Usually, function is an activity. Structure, the arrangement of and relations between the parts or elements of something complete. So that's a structure. Structure is usually visible. Function, usually not visible. Now, macro perspective again, and dynamics. See, to have to organize, you need to understand the system. To understand the system, you need to understand the dynamics of function, dynamics of structure, dynamics of programs. So how do you understand the dynamics? The dynamics is the movement. That's something, sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not, but there is that movement and the force, and then the growth and the decline, increase and decrease. These are all dynamics. To see that, first you're going to read the pattern. Pattern repeats time after time, and then it is there. The pattern. Example, a cloth, you have a pattern, the certain repeating shape. And the culture and ecology, and the flows and procedures and process. That is important for a business, a company. If you're running a business, as a business leader, you always need to read that dynamic. How these things process, how my customer comes in, and what that customer does, and how that customer make a payment, and how they sit and how they go out. These are the example of like a procedure or the dynamic of flows. So you read that process and flows as well. And then progress and the development. A pattern. Along the time, there is certain repetitions, and then that repetition says, why is it repeated? And you ask the reason and cause, and then there's a beginning and end. So these are the examples of patterns. It begins certain way and it ends certain way. And if it repeats second time, third time, and fourth time, then it is a pattern. If there's a certain reason repeating once, twice, and third time, and continues to repeat itself, that cause or that reason becomes a pattern. So reading a pattern is important because you know if something repeats, time after time, you know how to react, how to control, how to manage those things. That's why it is important to understand the pattern. See, you may not realize, but you have a certain routine that you repeat every day, right? So, for example, when you wake up, what do? You may not realize, but observe yourself, and you are going to find some funny patterns that you are repeating every day. There's a certain routine. It's not strange to yourself because you may have repeating this years and years. But if someone comes into your life and that looks very strange, and they may not understand your routine, the pattern. So those things becomes an issue when you get married, right? Or if you live together with friends who has not been with you for, and if you just begin to live with a friend, and then those things becomes an issue. They may not know, and you may realize the patterns of that person. So those things are the example of patterns. And that happens within a church, within an organization, within your business, within your family. So these are the things that repeat itself time after time. So we call that patterns. Program and project. Program is a set of related measures or activities with a particular long-term aim. So each program has a long-term aim. And you plan the program as a leader. And when you plan a program, you should mind about the program. Okay? Now, micro perspective is details. Those small things. And you see the whole forest, and there are trees and rocks and small streams and the plants. These are the micro things, and you should be able to read those micro things as well. And there's a saying, evil in details, right? So usually it's not the issue of the whole big picture. Many times it is in detail. You try to make a contract, and then many times the issues come up in details rather than a big agreement. You agree on the principles, big thing, and then when you come to detail, then there are differences, and those details you cannot many times make agreements. And cause and effect, problems and issues. Problems and issues you face every day, and many times you may ignore those problems and issues. But as a leader, these problems and issues are the main thing that you need to handle. So having the micro perspective is being able to read those small issues, small problems. Most of people do know and understand and be able to see those big problems and big issues. A good leader should be able to see the small issues, small problems, which may become a big issue later on. So that's what you should be training. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break and I'll come back and we'll take the final exam and you'll be done. Okay, so come back at exactly 11:20. Okay, I'll begin the final test.